It's kind of like when you're like during meditation, right? I'm observing. It's the slow detachment from your thoughts to the observation of your thoughts. And when you're like out in nature, you start to detach from all the I am this, I am that, the identity stuff, and you can just become a part of the space around you.
And the judgment side. So you're switching from left brain to right brain. So the left brain is more logical, linear, language, math, getting stuff done, where the right is more creative, oneness, thinking about stuff. So it's exactly what you said. When you're swiping left, swiping right, double-clicking, working, looking at people, you're constantly judging. Whether you know it or not, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously. But when you're out in nature, there's no judgment. You're not saying that a birch tree is different than a fucking evergreen tree. The crooked tree. You're not making fun of the fucking gnarled tree versus the straight tree versus the fat tree versus the skinny tree.
Well, we do it as soon as we come back in here. That's the only thing we do.
Like, oh, look at her, look at him. If he can only do this, if she can only do that.
If I can only do this.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Because some people get to that level of awareness, enlightenment, consciousness, where they're like, I understand that we're all God's children and everything is perfect. But I have anxiety. So everything is perfect out there. And in here, I'm going to have, original sin's going to have the last stronghold inside my brain. Everything that's manifest is perfect in God's eyes and Mother Nature. But I got problems.
Except me, though. Y'all don't know what I did.
Except me. Y'all are perfect. The Bridge Podcast, coming to you live from the Bridge Dome.
Ooh,
new studio action. There's going to be fancier mics. There's going to be fancier logos. There's going to be more professional shit coming. But it is first day at the new studio. How are you feeling today?
I'm excited, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm so excited.
Fucking excited for life.
Fun. I'm digging it.
It's beautiful.
It's nice sun.
Yeah,
feeling good.
It only gets better from here.
It's snowing.
So the more you tell your friends, the snow doesn't stop.
Never stops.
But
it's always snowing somewhere. You think it's always snowing somewhere? Or
I would say yes.
There's ever a day where it's not snowing anywhere?
No. Because it's always raining somewhere.
You think there ever has been a day? Like at some moment of time where
that's some trippy shit, because then you get down to probabilities.
But
I would say no, because I think weather systems are always moving. We need guest meteorologists on.
We do need a guest meteorologist.
But that would be my...
You know a meteorologist, right?
Yeah, of course. I'll call up a
guy.
I got a
weather guy.
Bro, I got a guy for everything. Are you fucking kidding me? So, we know that the 4 layers of health are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And then we've given you the 8 pillars of health and fitness, how you can affect each one of those things. And then each pillar is made up of 4 blocks, which is your literal daily take-home action steps to get healthier and more fitterest. And we are on the last pillar, which is nature.
Nature.
How the hell can nature affect your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health? Well, guess what? We are nature.
You don't say.
We are part of
nature. You're saying I'm not a synthetic robot artificially created in some sort of matrix?
Well, I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying
I'm not saying that. Right, thank you. That's a possibility, because I believe that anything is possible and that everything is connected. However, what I am saying is bees make beehives and ants make anthills, and they have a purpose and a job and a community, and they work together within their nature and their environment, and people make technology and cities, and we work together, or we're supposed to, if the powers that be don't fucking separate us by skin color and race and gender and stupid shit.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is we are nature, and we are just the highest on the food chain as far as intelligence and technology. Maybe dolphins are smarter, but they can't manipulate their environment.
Are they smart? I thought
they live in water.
Number 2.
Okay, we'll give them number 2. You would go dolphin smarter than chimpanzee?
It's hard to gauge that.
So hard because of the water?
Yeah,
I would
because
say
of what I've seen with it's just levels of communication. Yes. That's the difference.
Dude, dialects, slang, crazy shit. Oh, they are.
And not to say something like an octopus isn't super intelligent.
Oh, crazy, different intelligence.
Different type of intelligence there. Like that's like a learning That's like
super crazy. You seen the one that jumps out of the cage? And
have you seen the movie? It wasn't that great of a movie, but it was like a sci-fi horror movie. It was like Life, whatever, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah,
but it was crazy.
But it was like that thing. Like that thing learned and
big
like
time.
Manipulated its environment.
Intelligent life. We are intelligent life, so you should start acting that way.
Right.
That's what I say. Some people.
I've been unintelligent life before.
Of course, but I mean, for as long as I can remember, I never really wanted to be brainwashed by the mainstream narrative. I always had like a feeling of like things are bullshit. You know what I mean? Like stuff is not what they say, or there's more knowledge. Because so many people are out there thinking that everything on the news, whatever channel you want, and Facebook is all there is as far as the truth, and whatever is in high school and college is the only education and knowledge that there is. And then when you graduate, you know everything there is to know, and then you stop learning, and then you just go...
You just watch the news, and then just...
work, eat, TV, sleep for 80 years.
Yeah, it's like, that's like the classic, like you see on the sitcom, like, reading the newspaper. That's just the next form of education for me for the rest of my life.
It's just current events, because I know everything after that.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So,
we are here to teach you to be better than that, and the day you stop learning is the day you're dead. All right?
You're dead.
And we're going to go with the 4 blocks that make up the pillar of nature are ceremony. Speaking of death, that is a ceremony. We'll get to that. Ceremony, immersion in nature, your personal environment, and environmental consciousness are the 4 blocks. And this is just something that you're going to add into, and we'll do like a math equation on how you can get into nature a little bit more. But the more you're immersed in technology and artificial bullshit, the more stressed you're going to be. The more you can immerse yourself in nature, the more grounded and decompressed and de-stressed you can potentially be. Therefore, reducing cortisol, helping recovery, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, as far as aesthetics, health, and performance. So it all ties together. Sure is. So, ceremony, our first block. The first ceremony you'll ever have is your first birthday. And a lot of people do ceremonial birthdays every year all the way through, the anniversary of your birth. But that day is you coming into this.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to Earth. You know? Because you could say the incarnation is like the conception, but it's welcome to Earth because even for you, that you don't remember, you're in this like watery, warm world. And then, wow. You're like, what the fuck is going on right now? This is a whole new world. This is a graduation ceremony.
Do you just quote Aladdin?
Sure, probably. Yeah. It's a fucking great movie. True story, too, by the way.
What if that was a metaphor for him being born? No, that isn't that original.
Well, I was going to say, there's a lot of metaphors in that movie, and that's a true story that we've all seen. You've never tried to be something you're not to impress the girl?
Of course I have.
But that didn't work too well for him.
No, it did not.
It worked a lot better when he was being himself.
That's true. Authenticity.
That's a quick little... There's so many lessons within that, but that's the true story part. So birth, first ceremony. Then you got rites of passage and rituals and religious ceremonies and coming of age, your bar mitzvahs, your bat mitzvahs, your tribal initiation rituals to become a man, to become a woman. Any religious ceremonies, shamanistic plant medicine ceremonies, any type of ritual or ceremony started in nature before we had churches, houses, buildings, and stuff. So not to get on some like pagan around the campfire voodoo witch shit.
That's where it all came from.
Right, but that's where it all came from. Literally every myth that you think you're doing, the first bris and bar mitzvah was in the desert.
Yeah, you're like going to a club and dancing in the middle of a cave underground was actually outside by a bonfire. Like that's what that happened. Like people didn't go descend into a bouncer curated cave and rave to.
But you still do it,
lights.
And it's a ceremony of sorts.
Yeah,
and you don't think of it like that.
Yeah, when people think of nature too, the initial thought is like trees.
The woods is the only nature, like mountains. Woods. A lot of people don't even think that the beach is nature.
It's its own
that the park is nature, right?
Depends what beach you go to, I guess, right?
And perception-wise, right? When it's fucking packed to the gills with Staten Island bros, it's a whole other fucking thing. You know what I mean? The Jersey Shore beach and the beach in Costa Rica are two different things.
Very different, but they're both beaches.
But they're both nature and they're both beaches.
Yeah, so where ceremony fits into nature, it like fit in the traditional sense of what people might think of nature. But like you said, all our ceremonies originated in nature.
Yeah.
And then on like an even different definition of nature, they're all part of the natural cycle of growth and the natural progression of relationships and community, which is a part of who we are, humanity.
Because, like I said, the birth and death are two of the most important ceremonies you have. They're not necessarily starting line, finish line. It's more of a continuous thing where they intersect type of deal. But, you know, the death ceremony, and you may or may not become another thing after that. But wakes and funerals and other rituals, every culture's got their own death ceremonies.
The two most important things are your birth and your death, and you probably don't remember either. You're not going to remember anything.
Nope.
Not going to really be present for anything.
Nope.
You are for the one, but...
But think about like some Indian cultures or some Native American cultures and some African cultures. What they do for death is not the same as here, where everybody cries and you go in the box
mourning,
and it goes down. Right, it's a different type of mourning.
We try to preserve this body.
Yeah. You ever seen like a Tibetan sky burial and shit?
That sounds badass.
Yeah, I think they just throw you in a field and let the vultures eat you.
Like Spartan... Well, Sparta was different because they had like... You could have been born and die like the next second. They're like, unworthy of a war.
Short femurs.
Yeah. Short femurs.
God.
There you go.
One little blinky eye.
Or like the Viking, you know, fire on the boat out of the ocean funeral. You know?
Right. Perfect. You light the boat on fire, you push.
Yeah, that's the difference, right? Like with all these other
traditions,
traditional
rituals.
cultures, but like ours, again, like it's so classic, like modern first world. We sit in boxes, we go to work in boxes, and we try to preserve ourselves dying in the box.
Yep. It's crazy. Crazy stuff.
Which makes also, it's like one of those things, like like landfills take up a lot of space. So do cemeteries, you know. Like
and they're both
cemeteries,
decomposing some stuff.
Yeah,
that's true. I think ceremony a lot of like shamanistic rituals as far as plant medicine. Well, I mean they're called plant medicines, but 5-MeO-DMT is from the Colorado river toad, which is an animal, and then psilocybin's from a fungus, which is a fungus.
Yeah.
So it's not all plant medicines, but anyway.
I think like they have found that like lysergic acid can grow on like ergot.
Oh, for sure. So that's like a bacteria situation. So any type of medicinal shamanistic ceremony, and this is more
peyote.
Sure, the San Pedro cactus and wachuma and stuff like that, but that's more of a, like people think of it as either like witchcraft or voodoo or Native American shit or tribal shit. And they don't realize that we're doing rituals and ceremonies all the time in this culture, and it doesn't discount anything else.
Like that seems all kind of like woo, but then we will all go and drink like 12 beers, vomit, poison ourselves every day.
On your 21st birthday.
Yeah.
Like as a ritual.
And that's considered
normal. Like, oh, it's your 21st, bro.
Like
you're getting fucked up.
We're getting poisoned. We're poisoning ourselves.
Yeah.
I can poison myself legally.
Yeah. The government says I can poison myself, but I've been drinking illegally for 4 years.
So it doesn't really matter anymore at this point.
And you call that a fucking ceremony. So let's not poo-poo and woo-woo the fucking real spiritual.
Basically, right. Like there are natural things, like there's the physical maturation, like around like a quinceañera, bar mitzvah, that teenager-ish age. Because there's definitely a shift. That's called puberty. That's just science right there.
100%. That's what I mean. That's a great point.
Yeah, and then like 21 is just an arbitrary age for drinking, but it's really like from like 18 to 25-ish, 26, that you're getting that I'm becoming an adult-ish age. 0 to 7, that part of nature is formation of like deep programming, relationship to your environment.
Yeah.
And then 7 to 14, that I think is the age range where it's most disparate between traditions, because like in our tradition we'll send you to school, you'll sit in a box, we'll talk at you. Other places the kids are just running around figuring stuff out until they become a teenager, and then you're a teenager, now you got to embrace your role as whatever part of the tribe you are, right? But yeah, that's all a natural part of ceremony. Yeah, ceremony is really just a recognition of where we are in our process, of the natural process of growing as a human being.
I like it. So that's, like I said, the birth to death is not necessarily starting line, finish line, but then there's, like you said, rite of passage, becoming an adult, marriage, having your own kids, and there's just life cycles within all that. Yeah. And then there's retire. And then what humans have that other animals don't is you stop being fertile and you have like this elder role You know what I mean?
Which is, yeah.
Like older female, like once you can't produce young in the animal kingdom, you're kind of useless as a female. But grandmothers are so important in like chimps, bonobos, and humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as wisdom and love and tradition and everything else.
Like
You're not
a lot of them. I was going to say American. A lot of human tradition or traditional cultures. That wise elder is a female.
Of course.
The wise woman of the culture. The tribe Native Americans were very much like that. See Pocahontas.
Moana, Pocahontas.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. No,
it's that mother archetype.
Yes,
the mother of the tribe, right? Because you also often think of the sage, the man, the elder of the tribe. And there's a different role there, right?
But once again, we're talking yin and yang, masculine and feminine energies, where he's maybe the general of the either army or the leader of the hunting pack versus the grandmother is more spiritual, loving, nurturing energy. So you have that, you know what I mean? You just don't think it's that. But we're telling you are nature. And when you wrap your head around those things and put love to it, it's going to help your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. So next block is immersion, immersing yourself in nature. So that can be camping, hunting, fishing, hiking, going for a walk in the woods, gardening. And it's really just anytime you can get away from electromagnetic frequencies that we're glued to most of the day and actually ground yourself and touch soil, touch dirt, interact with trees, plants, and animals, and just get back into nature. For, like I said, just grounding and neutralizing any electromagnetic frequencies that have built up in your body throughout the day, which is just going to help hormonal levels and energy levels, let alone vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
Myriad of benefits in the body. I mean, amazing. So if your lifestyle isn't Mr. or Mrs. Outdoors, where you're kayaking and hunting and camping all the time and stuff, you still need to go for a walk and maybe put your phone down and turn your phone off and go to the park and walk around. If you live in New York City and you like that type of energy, you're going to recharge your batteries by going to Central Park and putting your phone down.
Yeah, it's like that's why I have a hard time with cities, just being in them, just because
cities bring me down, man.
Like I get the hype and energy behind what it could be, but all this hype and energy around like artificial man-made things.
It's too much to live there, though. Like going to the city for an event,
it's different.
It's amazing
to experience.
But then you don't want to leave. Yeah.
No, I don't want to. And again, not hating on cities, right? They're different.
You
people.
Get
a job there, right? They
sure.
Make the best of whatever. But it's also good to get a way to like you said, to recharge. And what that really means is detachment from the constructs that we create for ourselves, right? What's called nature, it means natural, right? So like a desk isn't necessarily natural. This isn't necessarily natural. This isn't really natural, right? Like even if it's made of natural things, like the idea of it.
Processed man-made stuff has a different feel than the natural world, for sure.
And then like immersing in nature too is also immersing in it's kind of like when you're like during meditation, right? I'm observing. It's the slow detachment from your thoughts to the observation of your thoughts. And when you're like out in nature, you start to detach from all the I am this, I am that, the identity stuff, and you can just become a part of the space around you.
And the judgment side. So you're switching from left brain to right brain. So the left brain is more logical, linear, language, math, getting stuff done, where the right is more creative, oneness, thinking about stuff. So it's exactly what you said. When you're swiping left, swiping right, double-clicking, working, looking at people, you're constantly judging, whether you know it or not, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously. But when you're out in nature, there's no judgment. You're not saying that a birch tree is different than a fucking evergreen tree, the crooked tree. You're not making fun of the fucking gnarled tree versus the straight tree versus the fat tree versus the skinny tree.
Well, we do it as soon as we come back in here. That's the only thing we do.
Like, oh, look at her, look at him. If he can only do this, if she can only do that.
If I can only do this.
Oh, well, that's the thing. Because some people get to that level of awareness, enlightenment, consciousness, where they're like, I understand that we're all God's children and everything is perfect. But I have anxiety. So everything is perfect out there. And in here, I'm going to have, original sin's going to have the last stronghold inside my brain. Everything that's manifest is perfect in God's eyes and Mother Nature. But I got problems.
Except me, though. Y'all don't know what I did.
Except me. Y'all are perfect. But yeah, that's the thing. You get out of this judgmental, linear thinking brain, and you go into a more detached, absorbing instead of absorbing brain, which is good for recovery.
Like one thing, if you go out for like, and again, not everybody can do this, but go out for even just like a 4-day camping trip wherever in the woods. That's 4 days. You're probably not looking in the mirror, right? That's a whole different experience than having to look at yourself all the time, seeing less people.
Or you ever seen
more oxygenated air for one, right? Like
you ever seen a sunset?
Oh, all the time.
It's fucking cool shit. You ever seen a sunrise?
It's amazing.
You ever seen a mountain? You know how that makes you feel being at the mountain?
Climbing the top.
You ever seen the moon? Mm-hmm. But you ever seen a picture of the moon? You ever take a picture of the moon on your phone? You're like, the fuck is this weenie Junior
this is
shit?
Horrible. Yeah.
Fuck are we doing
you
here?
see this amazing sunset, you take a picture and you go show somebody, and
they're like, oh, cool, whatever.
You're like, no, it was so different.
I was there. It was amazing. That's the difference between natural world and trying to capture that. Like the Grand Canyon, you can see a picture and it's dope, but when you're there,
I could describe every single detail of it, which would be sweet.
But that feel,
but the experience of it, right? That's different. Experiencing nature, talking about it, thinking about it, looking at it is different than again the experience. It's like in Good Will Hunting, like I think we talked about this the other day when Rob Williams is like giving it to Matt Damon, right? Because he pisses him off about the comment about his painting, and they're at the park, and then Rob Williams is like, "You really pissed me off about like what you said about my painting." And then I realized something, and then I drifted into a deep sleep, and I totally forgot about you until today. It's like, I realized you don't know jack shit.
You don't know shit. You're just a fucking punk kid.
Yeah, you could tell me about, about, quote, war, but you've never been in war.
No.
You could tell me about, women, but you've never actually been in love, right? You can tell me about these places, and you quote stuff.
Shakespeare and Voltaire.
Yeah, you've read stuff, looked at the stuff, but you've never actually experienced it. And that's a big, big difference.
So I stopped giving a fuck about your little fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
Your little academic bullshit.
But it's the same thing. It's like going out and experiencing something as simple as like a river is very different than the idea of a river in your head, right?
Dude.
Or looking at a river in a movie, right?
Way different. It's cool in the movies, but it's amazing.
It's amazing. There. You don't care about doing anything. You just like being there. That's another big part of it. I just like being. Yeah. You don't have to. There's no responsibility to these artificial stuff.
And once again, I mean, I can fucking date myself, but I don't really give a fuck. Back in my day, they didn't hand you an iPad. They didn't hand you an iPad when you were 4. And said, I'll see you later, and you just fucking scroll your life away, glued to a screen. We had to go outside and fucking...
Go and play.
Play. And fucking... with sticks and build dirt forts and throw shit at each other. Would
spend an hour just rolling down the hill.
Yes. It's the best.
And then it was time, like sunset, it'd be like 5 minutes.
If you were playing Cowboys and Indians, or Cops and Robbers, and you had a stick, that was the greatest fucking gun in the world. Now you want an app of what's the best fucking Call of Duty gun I can get, and like everything's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're like this.
Hunched over, and your brain thinks you're in war, but you're not. So it's not good. So you're releasing.
We're talking about relating this to physical health.
Right.
I mean, like, does this look like something that your spine should be in? No.
No. Versus hiking in nature and getting everything done. So it's like, if there's 168 hours in a week, which time is a construct, but we'll go with it. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's one rotation of the Earth, right? So 168 hours in a week. Let's assume you're not, because you're fucking up. But let's assume you're sleeping 8 hours a day, right? 7 hours a week. That's 56 hours. Leaves 112 hours, right? Let's pretend you're not working 40 hours a week at Taco Bell. You're fucking working 60 hours a week because you're fucking chained to the emails and the spreadsheets. So 60 hours a week.
Cranking,
still leaves you 52 hours that you're not working in the week. Even if you're working 60 hours and sleeping for fucking 56, you still have 52 hours that you're not working. So let's say it takes 32 hours to fucking, or 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So let's call it 28 more hours.
Okay.
Of showering, cooking, eating food, like stuff that you have to do.
Yeah.
You still have 24 free hours a week. Now you can choose to do that with Netflix, Call of Duty, Pornhub, anything you want, or you could take X amount of those 24 free hours per week. If you're sleeping 8 hours, working
60.
8 to 10, right, working 60
hours a week.
That's 12 hours.
Yeah.
And fucking still have 24 free hours. So even if you watched 3 hours of Netflix a day,
still gives you 3
hours to fucking hike, Get to the park.
That's a lot of time.
If you have a dog and you're not taking him or her to the park, you're a horrible human being. And you need to do something about that. And the best part is you can do something about that.
And you feel good, he'll feel good, she'll feel good.
And everybody wins, okay? That's what life is, planning and executing. So that's win-win scenarios of you, your family, your community, your tribe, and yes, your pets are part of your tribe. So when you break down that type of math and you realize, even if you're so busy, oh my God, I'm so busy, you still have 24 free hours. And even if you need those 12 to 21 hours to decompress in front of the TV, that's fine. I'm not saying I've never watched TV. That's still hours and hours that you can put the phone down and get into nature. Okay?
It's one of those things, well, this is a cool one too, because you will, it's not like meditation where it maybe takes some practice before you start to quote unquote feel anything.
That's a great point.
You'll feel it immediately. If you go
That's
outside,
a great
look at the
point.
sunset, like you don't have to even,
Wow.
there's nothing to do. Like,
There's nothing to do.
There's nothing to do, just be
It's
there.
free winning.
Yeah.
Dude, this is amazing. Dude, check out a sunset, put the phone down, go for a walk, and breathe some fresh air.
Yeah.
Pet the neighbor's dog. Like, that's a win, dude.
That's great.
God damn, what a good day. And then it gives you more energy to go back to this shit. And do what you need to do.
So you can still get everything you need to get done.
And more. And more. So the next block is personal environment. Okay? So we're talking about your room, your house, your car, your office, any space that you're in. That is your little ecosystem, your little environment. And if it's disorganized and cluttered and there's no feng shui and there's no rhyme or reason and it's dirty, that is a reflection of your inner environment and vice versa. So cluttered mind, cluttered desk, cluttered room. Jordan Peterson says, start with cleaning your room. You want to change the world, but
You can't clean your room.
but you can't even clean your fucking room.
Yeah.
And if you clean your room, there's an exponential ROI, like a return on your investment. If it takes you an hour to clean your room, now you have hours and hours of walking into that room and feeling good in your energetic space. If you clean the fucking bathroom medicine cabinet, it takes 5 minutes, but you're in there for 30 minutes a day.
Washing the dishes.
Oh my God. You ever seen read Zen and the Art of Dishwashing? You just get in there.
No, but I know who
But just Zen in general.
Yeah.
You're just immersed in the washing
Yeah,
of the
Thich Nhat
dishes.
Hanh, that's a big one of his. Just like be
Do
there,
what you're doing,
washing
yes.
the dishes. I'm washing the dishes because it's easy to go zone out. One thing I tried doing the other day. This was yesterday, because that's a place where I always think about doing it because of what Thich Nhat Hanh. Being there in the moment, doing what you're doing, washing the dishes. I was doing it, and my thought was on train about something that was bothering me. I'm like, so what I did was I closed my eyes, and so now I have to really, really, really focus because there's stuff in the sink, there's water going. I have to feel for it. So like just taking away my most prominent sense. Well, now I have to focus on it. It was a totally different experience. And I was like, and then like, for one, proprioception, right?
Which
then
is
I'm also like
neural
completely
connections and
immersed
everything
because
else.
I'm sensing with touch and sound and different senses. Then I can look, and I can also think at the same time, which we all do.
Yeah, I was going to say, your eyes is a cheat code. Girls, clean car, messy room. Guys, clean room, messy car.
Maybe.
For the most part. Maybe not as like adults, but like...
Yeah. I've been like all of them.
Of course. But in general.
Yeah, I mean, the room for, it's in general.
But, okay, so that was a funny little generalization. But how do you feel after you clean your room or your house?
Feel good.
Fucking amazing.
Well, that's one of the first things I do if I find like a stressful thought that I need to work through, is that, well, there's like anxiety cleaning, but there's also like, I can't do anything about this right now. How can I channel this energy into something productive?
That's good.
So
what do you think about anxiety cleaning? Good because instead of beating yourself up, you're getting something productive done, even though it's a fucking bad habit?
Only if it's conscious.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times unconscious where you're just cleaning the same thing over and over again.
Just fucking
Some
eroding
OCD
to that.
shit. Yeah.
You're not even cleaning, you're just...
No, I've seen that. Just vacuuming the same fucking thing.
Well,
So, okay, so I like that. So
it becomes
bringing
an
awareness
escape,
and
right?
consciousness to it. Right.
It shouldn't be an escape, it should be a redirection of energy,
Got it.
right?
So that's just awareness.
Because
and
escape from
consciousness.
energy that's there, that's what bottling up is, right? It's like, oh, nope, not there.
Yep.
So
Love it.
accept it, and then I'm like, okay, well,
Yep.
that's your, Tai Chi, that's redirection of
Yes.
energy. It's
Love it.
Aikido,
Love it.
Um,
Yeah, energy, judo and shit. Using
yeah.
momentum for your own benefit.
Judo's crazy.
I love this shit because, you know, like I said, you want to change the world, you want to gain all this muscle, you want to lose all this fat, you want to do all these things, you want to change your health, but you can't clean your room. Start with the simple things. Start with the simple things that actually matter. You know, what you can control, what actually matters, and then the overlap of what matters and what you can control. That's where you fucking start.
Yeah, forget 7 Habits. Forget his name, but you know your circle of influence, right?
Oh, dude, huge.
You guys like everyone's got an opinion about the fucking what the president should do. Okay, well you got that, but you can't take care of what you need to do. If you can't do that, who are you to tell? So your circle, focus what you can control.
That's it.
And that will expand. The more you can get under control of those basic things, the simple stuff.
That's it.
Influence expands.
That was where I fell in love with Tim Tebow, man. He goes, in one of his speeches, he was like, don't put any energy into what you can't control. But what you can always control is your attitude, your effort, and your enthusiasm. Boom. I was like, the fuck? This is beautiful. It's brilliant. I'd run through a brick wall right now. So your personal environment, bringing in pets, nature. Plants, rocks, bringing nature into your...
So kind of the inverse there, like immersing yourself in nature, immersing nature into your personal space.
You can't tell me that a house with plants doesn't feel better, look better.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's also good for your, depending on the plant, it's also good for your air too, man.
Dude, they're breathing in the shit we breathe out, and they're breathing out the shit we breathe in. That's a fucking oh, stop. Don't get me fucking crying on the podcast. That's a fucking huge symbiotic relationship that you don't even realize. The air quality is going to be better with more trees and plants around.
100%.
Pets, your immune system is going to be better if you have pets in the house because you're sharing the germs, that little micro dose of germs where you're getting a little bit of snake venom, so when the big snake of a virus bites you or a bacterial infection, you have a better chance because your immune system has antibodies. Once again, another thing that the news, I guess school stopped believing in this. The news never believed in it, and the government knows it and fucking ain't telling you. Your immune system builds up antibodies when you take care of it.
This is true.
Gargling hand sanitizer, wearing gloves in the car, and 3 masks and a butt plug is not going to fucking help you from a fucking virus.
Well, butt plug.
Well, that's true. That's safe. You want to be ready for action at any time. But bringing plants and animals in, and like you were saying, a synthetic plastic IKEA table versus a fucking oak handmade table has a different morphic resonance and a different energy field coming off of it. Same way if you have crystals and rocks and gemstones and stuff like that. Natural stuff hanging out. Feels good. Like I said, I think the best example is house plants and pets and stuff like that. They're things that you would consider innate. I mean, a dog is just a wolf. If you saw in nature.
This, whatever your little
same DNA
amalgamation of a dog is, it's
same DNA, same genetics. So clean up and be aware of your personal environment.
That's also a feng shui too.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Like you've ever seen the shape of a pyramid for conducting energy and stuff like that. Not a coincidence, the same shape as like a teepee from Native Americans. When they got all rounded up by the settlers, pioneers, colonists, whatever you want to call them, and they put them into square buildings, they all got sick. Their immune systems got all fucked up, which led to, them having shitty immune systems and dying off of smallpox and syphilis and everything else from European germs. But they felt physically sick being in square and rectangular dwellings.
Yeah, it's pretty unnatural.
Super unnatural.
There's no squares in nature.
There's no square in nature. Rocks and shit is never square or rectangle.
Bob Dylan would have been singing about a Rolling Stone if it was a square,
exactly.
Right? Like,
it would have rolled once and been done. And the fucking song would be over. So the last block in the pillar of nature, which is just something to consider, and like I said, we're going to go back to chicken and broccoli and sets and reps and fitness, what you think is fitness, but this is just an awareness of other philosophical concepts, mystical concepts, and the fact that we are nature, so you have to take care of yourself. The government's not riding in on a fucking white horse to save you.
Yeah.
And anytime
as long as you're paying your taxes.
Well, that's a whole nother thing.
Even if.
Right. So the last block is environmental consciousness. So that's just being aware and conscious of all your environmental spaces, your mind, your body, your room, your car, your neighborhood, your tribe, your community, your planet, your galaxy, your solar system, your universe. Maybe you don't have to go that far into it as far as like health and whatever, but being conscious of keeping those things clean. Like you have 3 homes: your body, your mind, and
external environment.
And the external environment, exactly. So you need to keep those things clean and organized to be healthy. Environmental consciousness includes like green movement and recycling and not littering and picking up trash and planting trees and action steps.
Yeah, how can you help to restore?
Yeah.
How can you help to serve and grow our environment, right? 'Cause it's really, again, one thing the boxes do is they prevent us from seeing outside the boxes, right? So, or thinking outside the box.
Right.
There's a metaphor there, but like, we're not actively seeing. You don't look outside your window and see deforestation every day. You don't look outside your window and see overfishing every day. You don't look outside your window and see
what's happening.
Landfills leaking into the environment every day, but it's happening, you know? So and that's, not to go back to this, but that's the difference between, that's just what awareness is. Because if I'm just aware of what people are telling me, then all of a sudden my perspective is just going to be entirely warped by what someone else says, right? But there's other things going on all the time, always has been, So just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean it's not happening. But as soon as everybody becomes aware of it, it becomes that central focal point, kind of like the red car syndrome. I use the name of it, but like I bought a red car, and all of a sudden there's red cars everywhere, right? They're always there.
Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and that's what you think about. So I love what you're saying. If we can raise everyone's consciousness and awareness and vibration to the fact that as a collective, I don't want to say we and us, but as a collective, the human race is destroying the fucking planet.
We're consuming.
Over-consuming, I would say.
Yeah. Like how much...
When is enough
enough? Waste is there, especially in our country, let alone...
Because that's not even a shot on... You can still have conscious capitalism. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't buy things and make things and have competition, and those are good things.
Yeah.
But waste and greed and pollution are not.
Especially
there is a balance.
Especially when the bottom line is a construct we're seeing unravel right before our eyes into the fact of money, and value, what that really even means,
Fucks everything.
So that's everyone's bottom line. Instead of helping the future planet,
Yep.
We're taking short-term instant gratification, the same as eating a fucking Twinkie instead of eating a salad, short-term gratification versus long-term sustainability. And that long-term perspective is that consciousness of there's more than just me on the planet.
Yep.
More than just my company, and more than just what my artificially created responsibilities are, even though they are real in the sense that we have to do them. But there's bigger things.
Sure.
The Earth is much bigger than me. In 100 years, no one may not remember who I am, but I've been a part of this Earth, and that those people are going to be a part of this Earth too. So we can either take care of it.
Come together and take care of it. Yeah.
Like it's us, nature.
It is.
The Earth is nature. We are nature.
Yeah.
We literally came out of it. The same dust as the dirt is the same atoms in my body.
Yeah, like that's the type of awareness and vibration everybody's got to rise to, because it's like if I wouldn't go to your room and fucking throw a piece of garbage on the ground. It's the same as people throwing garbage on the ground at the park. Like this shit fucking kills me. So that's just environmental consciousness. So it's the same thing of the filtered water you drink, the organic food that you eat. Conscious of your personal environment, of getting out into the natural world, of religious, traditional family ceremonies, birth, death, marriage, religious stuff. So just consciousness of all that.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about, like, you mentioned your sphere of influence or what you can control, right? There's, like, everyone feels like, well, the only people that can control anything is the president, and that's all.
Ugh.
So one day a year that's pretty much saying one day a year I have like a 1% control over
Big Daddy government. I get to vote for him.
Right? So, but okay, politics is important. I'm not saying that's not important, but you have very little control over it. I know every vote counts.
Right.
But so does, right? Every vote counts. But it's funny because if I told someone, like, well, every time you do something good to take care of your body, all those little things count, they're like, yeah, whatever. Right?
Exactly. Right? That's what really matters and what you really can control.
Yeah.
Of fucking seize the day, control the day, own the day.
Yeah, you picking up trash, like an ounce of trash every day for a month will do more than the amount of bullshit you get sucked into in terms of things out of your control, right?
100%. Yeah, if you fucking voted for somebody and then went on Facebook and talked shit about the other guy and walked and didn't put your shopping cart back and fucking threw garbage on the ground, you fucked up. Right. Yeah. It means nothing. Yeah. We're not conscious of anything whatsoever. So speaking of ceremonies and rituals in nature, have you ever learned anything on any medicine journeys or...
the question you're really going to...
Well, I don't know. Well, I think we've wrapped up everything as far as... Because there's a lot of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing that can be done with either personal practices, breath work, but that's what, like, immersing nature into your body by eating psilocybin mushrooms, doing a ayahuasca ceremony, a peyote ceremony. Like, obviously... I mean, do your homework, do your research, setting, intentions, preparations.
I did both of that. I mean, we both done those both simultaneously. Like I know, like I went to Big Basin, Redwood Forest in California. While on I guess this is not necessarily like plant medicine in the formal sense because it was LSD.
Sure.
But immersing yourself in nature in that kind of way, deep, that's a profound connection and not like it's some hippie woo stuff.
No, it's like, a good reminder.
It's really...
If you forget your nature...
Makes you feel how small... You realize how small you are because in our heads, our ego, we're so big, whether we want to admit it consciously or not, which we mostly don't, we think of ourselves at the center of our own universe because we are operating in everything and everybody else is just part of our own story, which you can get sucked into. And then you get zoomed out and you realize you're just a little speck and that puts you in perspective and... changes your relationship to life in a really positive way.
Yeah.
Initially, you think it's going to be like, I'm so small, I'm insignificant, and you're like, oh no, I'm part of something.
That's what makes you
really, significant. Really
That's part of the big thing.
Yeah.
I love it. That's like real nature immersion right there. And it's funny how you said small because a lot of times I think of, like you can think you're small and insignificant and then realize that you're a part of the whole, or you could realize that you are the whole. And you are one with everything, and it kind of makes you feel big and empowered, important.
Yeah, well, that's the paradox. Is
yes,
like your ego feels small,
I love that.
but because it realizes it's in the presence of
I love
who you
shit
really
like that.
are.
It's like a Zen koan or something where it gives you the answer, but it makes you more confused at the same time.
Well, the truth is all paradox.
That's the thing. That's the thing, because what really is the truth?
Yeah.
But that's why we're seeking more truths on this show. That's what we're trying to do. Get to the bottom of it.
It's as simple as getting out in nature, immersing yourself in nature, bringing it into your environment, being conscious.
That's the homework and takeaway is of your 24 free hours, we'll give you 21 for YouTubing.
Bullshit nonsense.
And bullshit nonsense, pill popping, scrolling, fucking jerking it and getting wasted. All right, ladies jerking it, guys rubbing it, the whole thing.
Everything, everybody's doing it.
You've still got 3 hours to fucking put the phone on airplane mode if you want to take it with you and take notes and take pictures, or just turn it off or leave it in the house. 3 10-minute walks, couple 30-minute walks.
Break it up however convenient.
Break it up however you want. Plan yourself a hike. Plan yourself a trip. Like if you're going on vacation, why do you want all of it to be hotel room, bar, restaurant, hotel room, bar, restaurant? Like you don't want to get in the ocean or fucking do something?
That's the one problem with like cruises, It's like I'm on a boat for most of the time.
It's like artificial nature. But cool. Depends on the cruise because some of them like stop and you get off to do excursions.
Yeah, it depends. Because usually if you're going like...
Now you're like a zoo animal, but you get to like touch nature. Those like artificial
all right, come back in.
Nature,
yeah. Come back. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a cruise guy personally, but... We've done it. That's how I can say that I don't like it.
There you go. Yeah, everyone's got it.
With everything else. So that sums up the 8 pillars, which are holding up the 4 layers, which will get you to your 3 goals of aesthetics, performance, or health. Therefore, every single human being on the planet is a potential customer and a potential person we can serve and help and guide and teach and educate. And I just love what you said. This episode and all these episodes are about raising everyone's consciousness and vibration to the fact that we are more similar than we are different. And even if you don't want to believe that, because you're only using your eyes and you're seeing the difference between gender, skin color, artificial fucking border walls and all this bullshit, know that the one thing that we do share is planet Earth. And if you're fucking it up, you're fucking up. Yeah. So let's work together to make it better.
Human beings are just humans
being. That's it. And we'll see you next time. Peace. Deuces.